In 1513, on a field in northern England called Flodden, the commanders of the Scottish army made a fatal choice. Clad in heavy plate armor, they demanded to fight in the front ranks, standing shoulder to shoulder with their men. Across the misty terrain, their opponent took a different approach. The English general, the elderly Earl of Surrey, was crippled by rheumatism. He stayed behind the lines, directing his troops from the rear. The Scottish lords sneered at the Earl. To them, his refusal to risk his life and engage in hand-to-hand combat was an act of cowardice, a shameful avoidance of a leader's duty to shed blood alongside his soldiers. But this contempt revealed a severe blind spot. The Scots were clinging to outdated medieval beliefs about chivalry. They had missed the Renaissance revolution in military generalship, which required commanders to coordinate rather than clash swords. There were already warnings against this kind of behavior. Just a year earlier at Ravenna, the celebrated French commander Gaston de Foix threw his life away in a cavalry pursuit of a beaten enemy. How does an army's display of physical bravery lead so directly to its own destruction? When the Battle of Flodden began, the Scottish lords drew their weapons and charged into the dirt. They fought exactly as if they were common troopers. By immersing themselves in the struggle of the front line, they lost their vantage point. In the crush of bodies and the noise of combat, they could no longer see the wider battlefield or issue orders. Without direction, the massive Scottish formation stalled. Thousands in the rear fought blindly. Meanwhile, the Earl of Surrey monitored the field from the back, shifting smaller units to exploit gaps and encircle the leaderless Scottish mass. The Scottish lords believed they were inspiring their men. Instead, their physical courage actively sabotaged their primary duty of battlefield management. The consequence was a massacre in the front ranks. Most of the Scottish lords, fighting shoulder to shoulder, died in the mud, along with their king. This staggering loss of life turned a tactical defeat into a rout. With the leadership dead, the command structure ceased to exist. There was no one left to call off the attack, rally the survivors, or organize a retreat from the field. The army simply disintegrated. By contrast, the crippled English commander, who had stayed clear of the fighting, survived the day and secured a decisive victory for his forces. When a general throws away his life without a thought for the outcome of the overall fight, the result is structural collapse. This flaw did not disappear with the medieval era. It became a recurring pattern of rashness that persisted into modern industrial warfare. During the Franco-Prussian War of 1870, French Marshal Bazaine committed the same error at the Battle of Vionville. Bazaine galloped straight up to the firing line. He urged his men forward by personal example, manually sighting guns and leading counterattacks. But in doing so, he abandoned his role as commander of a vast industrial army. For long periods, his own aides were unable to find him. The French forces fought without direction through the battle. Historians have compared Bazaine's conduct to a soldier who abandons his post in the face of the enemy. This dangerous bravado appeared again a decade later, just before the First Boer War in South Africa. Colonel Tucker of the 80th Foot commanded well-drilled regular troops, and he dismissed the opposition entirely, stating, "I undertake to lead my regiment through South Africa from one end to the other, armed with only pick handles." While Tucker spoke of pick handles, the Boer commandos were operating these, heavy artillery pieces like the howitzer. This leadership contempt for the enemy contributed to a string of humiliating defeats. Like the generals who charged into the front ranks, Tucker replaced strategic sense with empty bravado. Physical courage is rarely absent from military commanders, but moral courage is often lacking. This is the difficult decision to refuse a personal challenge, to stay out of the fighting, and to prioritize directing the army. Where is the line drawn between inspirational battlefield heroism and gross command incompetence?